Thank you. Welcome to the meeting, everyone. So I just lost, when you did that, Kelly, I lost my view of everyone, and I think it's just obviously me. There we go. I got it back.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Do we still have a quorum that John stepped off for a second?
Looks it.
Okay, good. Thanks for counting, Kermit.
Yep. I
Okay.
was going, "Eh."
Yeah, right. Do we have so we'll call the meeting to order. Do we have an approval of the previous minutes?
Or do
If
we, or do we
we
have
have,
any corrections,
right,
additions, or questions to the?
yeah, if we don't have any proposed amendments, we can assume they are approved. Any proposed amendments? Good, no? Okay, let's move forward. Do we have any public comments this evening? Okay, Kevin.
Can't let a meeting go by without making a comment.
That's great.
Anyway, in this case, it's all good news. I wanted to make sure the whole committee knew that the council voted overwhelmingly to reject artificial turf on the new baseball and softball fields and asked the school district to go back to the drawing board and come back with a proposal not including artificial turf. I want to thank several people that I know got involved in this, including Kermit, who sent an email maybe to John at the last minute, and Laura, who I don't think is on tonight, but she gave a very effective public comment online while she was on the treadmill, by the way, which was really rather humorous, but she was awesome, and they were particularly effective. And given the council's support, I think in the indications of the new alders, I think we have a very progressive and sustainability oriented council going forward. So I think it's a great time to try to get the SPP implementation plan through the last wicket or two and use it on the budget to some degree. It doesn't have to be this onerous process, of course, has been talked about before, but there's an opportunity there. The city has never identified a particular budget item that was exclusively meant to address climate change. And then also I was noticing in Kelly's elaborate staff notes, a lot of great stuff, but in particular, the fact that she went down to McFarland and saw their new net zero public safety building, for which, get this, John, they will receive over $1 million in rebates for. Yeah, and they're getting ready to, I think, submit another proposal for a second civic building of some sort. In addition, Kelly mentioned that Madison has 125 EVs in their fleet of over 1,400 total vehicles. And I think maybe we have one or two, depending on how you count them and whether they've been received yet. And also, Kelly highlighted the biodiesel equipment they're using in Madison, how it's saving tons of carbon emissions. And the city's been tinkering at that for some of the large trucks, converting them to biodiesel, but that's never gotten very far. So I just wanted to say, I think there's a excellent opportunity to get something in the 2025 budget and keep the ball rolling forward. We're hoping to meet with Mayor Kuhn sometime soon to talk about climate initiatives, and we'll be mentioning some of these very same things. So thanks for the time. Have a good meeting.
Thank you. Okay, any other public comments that I don't, so not seeing any, let's move forward. First of all, thank you so much, Brent, for joining us tonight. We appreciate you coming on in the evening for us. We know this is outside of your normal workday, so again, we appreciate that. We would just like to introduce ourselves and learn a little bit more about you and figure out how we can work together going forward.
Sure, no problem. It's on overtime. I bill it to Kelly. It's no problem.
Right, okay.
I'm at the will of the council and the city council and the mayor and the administrator. So I have about 20 plus years in marketing communications. I've worked for state agencies, local agencies, the county for 15 years, and also several private corporations. Some you probably have heard of: GE Medical, Disney, Fiskars, right in our backyard, or was right in our backyard. And so, have a lot of different various ways to tell the story of Middleton, as well as the sustainability committee. And I think one of the ways that we can, of course, champion this is using a variety of methods to communicate with the community, as well as staff, which is also important, and then elected officials, and of course, outside of the community. One of the reasons that Brian hired me, and one of the reasons I was interested in the position, is we really need to continue to evolve our ability to tell our story outside of the borders of Middleton, because that's really where we see some of our most benefit. Someone in the Kevin just commented on the fact that a community had 100 million, excuse me, in rebates, and I think one of the ways that we can leverage some of the things that we're doing, and also evolve to a way that we can garner some of those larger grants and options, is to tell our story outside of the zip code of Middleton. And I think that's something that I can work with Kelly and your organization and your team with, to make sure that we are telling the right stories in the right way, and in a way that also is, conducive to the various types of constituents that we have, that kind of absorb media and information in different ways. So that's sort of my overview, but I'm happy to answer any questions or detail any concepts or anything that you might have.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I think what's helpful, thank you very much. We have a great committee here. Everyone is very engaged and involved. We're lucky, and I think the city's lucky, the region's lucky because of this committee, or fortunate. So I think it's easiest to maybe start with a specific example of something that we would love your help with, and that is, we made a push on the committee. Several people really jumped in and did some extra work outside of the committee to do the utility flyer insert. I don't know if you happen to see that in your last utility bill, but it is a paper insert that our committee funded and paid for, but it is on one side, it's a one-pager, double-sided, that gives a list of some public educational events that our wonderful committee member, who's not here tonight, but Deb Weitzel, set up through the library, and Sustainable U. And then on the back, it's a list of all of the federal rebates that are available right now, or tax, I would say credits, through the Federal Inflation Reduction Act. So really good information. It's all new. And again, we just did a paper, insert into the utility flyer, but what we'd really like to do is, we have the information ready to go, which took some time in itself. How can we amplify the messaging and really get it out there beyond what our committee did? And we do have some budget, if we determine that's necessary, to pay for some of these things, if we want to promote certain things online or whatever. We can vote on that, and we can do that, but we do a budget. So, we're not just looking for all things that come out of your budget or things like that, but how do you see us being able to amplify, again, just as a starting point, that message?
Well, and first of all, I don't have a budget, so you're in luck. Not yet, maybe next year. But I've actually started to promote Sustainable U already, because it's such a great idea. It was mentioned briefly in a post I did on social media about a week ago, in combination with one of the posts the library did, because they promoted your first guest speaker, which was a week ago Thursday, maybe, off the top of my head. So what I propose is, there really isn't a necessity to spend money on this. Some of the best media is earned media, free media. if we just invite and or promote this to our local media partners, this is the type of thing that they're really eager to promote. You know, they promote a lot of doom and gloom and routine things, but they really enjoy getting out into the community and talking about things that are different than what they report on a daily basis. So some of the ideas that I have that are completely free is we're obviously going to promote you on Middleton Minute in the next episode. Perhaps we do a special Middleton Minute where we promote just Sustainable You, because you have things throughout the year now. Social media, of course, is a great platform. I also would suggest that we develop a specialized web page on the sustainability page that's devoted specifically to sustainable use. So brand it with that, come up with a logo, come up with some things like that. These are all things that Kelly and I have, Kelly is aware of that we could do. And, she's definitely on board and always supportive of every crazy idea I have. I also think that we need to do some simple posters and get those posted in some of our routine locations downtown, the coffee shops, some of the restaurants, and really develop a brand that's kind of separate from sustainability, yet sustainability centric and focused, where we create a logo, which we have sort of a logo now, but we really kind of ramp up that Sustainable You kind of brand, so that becomes consistent every time we talk about it and everything we put it on. And so when the library puts a post, they put the logo and they put the link to the website page and things like that. So the other thing that we can do is we have an ability to program the billboard that's on the Beltline. That is a city entity that we have space on every week. We can promote the Sustainable You, not only the schedule, but the upcoming talk as we get closer, a week or so out. Other things that I've found incredibly successful is if there are public events that a sustainability committee member can be at, perhaps Art Walk would have been a good one, opportunity to set up a table and, talk about the different things that we're doing sustainability. A senior center lunch and learn is also a very good opportunity. And then lastly, I highly recommend that we get some of the sustainability members out to the civic groups to do a informal presentation during their first or 5 or 10 minutes of their meeting, so that we can promote this as well as the chamber, taking an opportunity to leverage our relationship with the chamber to offer some of this. This is free programming that's insightful and interesting, but also really a core of kind of what the mission is of Middleton. We live and breathe sustainability. That's sort of what we hang our hat on. And I think a majority of the citizens would agree with that.
Okay, that's a great start.
Lots of ideas for you.
Yeah, let's go to
All
John
three.
first.
Yeah, I just want to thank Brent for those comments. I was going to say, Christy, some of us get our utility bills prepaid and it comes in an email. So I never got a paper attachment ever. And I wonder how many other people don't get paper bills from the city.
What's funny is that I get mine on auto pay too, and I have tried to never get a paper copy because I don't like any paper mail, and I still get them.
I don't, somehow I don't. But
you don't even
because
get them.
I didn't get the flyer. So just to
FYI. Maybe, John, and maybe that you bring up a good point. Maybe we can work with the e-billing company and maybe we can get a blurb in that, at least when you get your digital bill.
Because I think, like myself, if I'm not alone, most of us just start doing e-pays and all kinds of stuff, and the amount of mail other than junk just slows down to almost nothing. Yeah. I
didn't even know there was a way you could turn off all the papers, so thank you for that.
Yeah, so check it out.
I've tried.
I do. I think one bill is the only one I ever get in a paper anymore.
I'll try again on that. Okay, that's great feedback. Thank you. Lynn.
And I'll talk to utilities about that too, John. Just and see if there's some digital way to do it. I'll talk to Sarah when I see her later this week, because maybe we can, even if we could put the website on there. That's a step in the right direction. They may not do advertising per se, but I agree. If the less paper, again,
that's part of sustainability.
If we don't put it in the paper,
that's
so. And I think we can get the local Times to obviously talk about it, and especially Channel 27 is always really interested in these kind of things. So if I pitch them some of these stories, they're willing to run with it.
Yeah, great.
Mhm.
Okay.
Good
Thanks.
ideas. Again, I want to lead. I want you to lead about what you're comfortable with, but I want to offer some of the opportunities that we can get that are free. Why spend money when we can get it for free?
Well, you know, if I could just chime in for a second about to follow up with the being on the council and being one of those 7 who voted for the sustainability is I think there's a strong consensus on the council that you guys are we're going in the right direction with this stuff. And I think there's an opportunity to push at almost every level and every button you can, because you're going to have a receptive bunch of
Mhm.
people sitting in the council chambers to work with this stuff.
Well, I'm sorry, John, you keep giving me ideas, but one of the things we can do is obviously ask, like Alder Hanairo to put a blurb in her newsletter too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. She
That's-
really spearheaded this one.
So there's a lot of great opportunity here that is really what I would say, I hate to use cliches, but low hanging fruit that, really doesn't mean Kelly has. And one of my goals is not to put more work on Kelly because she's obviously at her bandwidth. She may not admit that, but I know she's a one person show and she tries to do everything she can. And that's where I can help her so that we don't have to burden her with some additional, oh, you must do this, you got to do this, help me do this, design this. I can do all that for her.
Yeah,
Help me
great.
with all that.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Let's move to Lynn.
Oh, hello, my name's Lynn. Thanks, Brent, for your efforts. Couple, a lot of the tactical things we can handle offline and don't need to chew up this meeting with that, but would be curious if you have an editorial calendar that you follow throughout the year, so we could tail on any, topics that we see that are relevant. Templates, if you've got pre-existing templates for the way you like to set up images for social, we would save a lot of time by designing with those. And thanks for telling us about channel 27. Makes me think about raw video footage, like B-roll footage of some of the sustainability efforts out in the wilds, that whether those are put up on a YouTube for sustainability, but for them to have easy to access, 30 seconds of something out in the real world, that could be an interesting way to go if our print work isn't as visible because of online billing. So those just some quick ideas I got, but thanks for your efforts.
Yeah, we'll work any angle we can. It's an easy story to tell though, Lynn, to be honest. This is the easiest. I mean, it's not like I have to force feed people to talk about this stuff. We're kind of the leader in the region, so they kind of look to us for this info. So it's kind of
Yeah.
easy to tell.
Yep. Make it easy. They can find pre-existing video that we've already shot.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Mhm.
I guess I'll jump in. I think I'm next. If I'm
Oh,
following the.
yeah, I was on mute like by accident, which is terrible.
Uh,
I was coughing. Brent, do you have an editorial calendar that you could share?
That's something that's still evolving because I started mid-season last year, so I've got about a 6-month editorial calendar, but I can share that. Yeah, I can. Hope to have the whole year wrapped up for the full year of what we like to promote by about July, because that'll give me a kind of a full look at what I've seen across the year of what we promote, everything from the salt stories that we run to leaf collection to some of the park and rec items that we like the pool opening and the hunting for pumpkins and all the things that planning does, the art walk. So that's all on there. But I want to get all the way through July-ish so that I have a good handle on what I might have missed over the course of the previous year. So, but yes, I can share that.
Okay, thank you. Kermit, you're next.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Yeah, Brent, thanks for joining us, and thanks for your stance of expertise and action on behalf of the city. Question I have, I guess, is related to where do we draw the line between what we need to do to make something happen and what you own as your responsibility to do to make something happen? Because, like, for instance, do we need to design the flyer before you can run with it and put it out? Or can we say, here's an outline of, here's some bullet points, make this beautiful and push it through whatever media you have? So we
That's
don't
my
want to
job.
abuse you, but we want to take full
No.
advantage of you.
I'm full-time and that's my job. So I should do all of that creative for you. I mean, the reason why, and not that I want to take work away, but the problem is committee members turn over, ideas turn, people turn. Kelly and I
Right.
are the stable staff members. So Kelly can feed me the data points. I can create and develop the creative. If Lynn wants to help, we'd love to have it. But at the same time, I can take some of that workload off. I really don't want Kelly to be doing it. I mean, she's great at it. I don't mean to, but she's got so
No.
much.
Right.
Similar to like the planning department where Abby is sort of everything. I don't want her to have another burden of designing things, and that's sort of my specialty, and that's what they hired me for. So I see funneling it to Kelly, your ideas, your drafts. I can draft it up, send it back up the chain. Your team here can approve it and suggest other ideas.
Okay, and in that regard, I see kind of like two broad categories of stuff that we would like to see get out. One, I think you were already touching on, that's just like telling Middleton's sustainability story. Different arenas, areas, actions. Gee, what a great solar array. Gee, the batteries got installed. And then there are, events, actions, initiatives that we are trying to get PR traction on. Like, for instance, again, example that we spent some time talking about, sustainable you. And for that, if we could just say, okay, here we have this schedule. Make sure everybody knows about this, Brent. Run with it. Is that sufficient? I mean, is that?
That's great. Yeah, I mean, and I'll pick Kelly's brain for what nuances I need, because she'll know exactly, the best piece of the puzzle that's going to promote the best, because working with you, she'll have collected that. So we'll just put a standing meeting, on the calendar, and once a week or every other week, we'll meet to make sure that we know, what she needs and wants to
Right.
promote. That will obviously come right from you too. So it's just a good
Right.
way to funnel it so that she can kind of be the clearinghouse of the right information, and then I can collaborate, build it, send it back up for you. But if you just say, Brent, we need to promote this, I can come up and I can share an example if you want, just to see kind of an idea. Kelly, is that okay, or is that not good if I do that? I was going to share Bike Week stuff, if that's okay. Let me just pull it up, just to give you an idea. So like Mark Opitz is, part of the planning team, and he came to me and basically said, please come up with all the promotion for Bike Week and the social media posts, and write a couple op-eds and things like that. I'm going to try to share this. I don't know if I can, but I'll do my best.
At
Just
one level,
gives you an idea. So you can see he requested me to come up with posts. So I came up with a bunch of specific posts for tips during the week, and then posts related to the zoning changes that relate to Bike Week. And I gave him this copy. And then I wrote 2 op-eds that we're going to publish during the, the Bike Week. So that kind of gives you an idea of what I would do. And then you guys can look at it and see if you like it. And, if it's in the nuanced language that you want. Till I learn your language, it's going to take me a couple of times. But once I kind of know your preferred way to communicate, the way you want to say it, by 3, 4, 5 months in, I'll probably have a good idea of what you like. And so it'll take less time for you to review it and kind of learn your tone and language.
Yep, actually, yeah. And I see it. I mean, if you're open to handling it that way, kind of like, here's some bullet points, or here's some notes, and here's an event coming up. Yeah. Make sure people know and show up. That could save us a whole lot of time, because we unfortunately have gotten bogged down getting into the micro management of how do we do this, who's going to put posters up, or who's going to send this to who. And if you're able to receive the raw material, I mean, really raw material without us having to go through the planning and all that would be perfect from my perspective.
Well, and I don't want you to think you're excluded. I don't want you to think that I'm not going to communicate with you or Kelly, right? I think your energy and excitement is what's going to help me develop a good message. And I want you to stay engaged, but I agree. If I can take something off your plate that saves you time to delve into the bigger issues, that's ultimately my goal. So
excellent, wonderful.
Yeah.
Glad you're aboard.
But please tell me if you need more involvement or less, because I don't want you to think that I'm just taking the reins and running without you. And Kelly, of course, keep me in check too, because she'll have met with you, and know exactly what you need and want.
Okay, Dean?
Thanks.
Yeah, this might be a little overlapping with Kermit's point, but I think we've spent a lot of time working on trying to help the city staff and city government change their behaviors around sustainability. And we're in the process of working harder on getting the population to change their behaviors. And so I think we need some help from you in finding the right tone and mechanisms for helping our population actually go from being in favor of the government changing to changing themselves.
I agree.
And those are subtly different and hard. And so thinking about that is, I think, critical and sort of related to a communications director, it seems, is how do we package it to aim it at, I'll say, the civilians in the group. So just a thing to think about.
Well, and there's a lot of angles there. I think one is we can make sure that we are, using our internal communication devices to kind of push some of these messages, and they of course have to be a little bit different, right?
Right.
They don't want to read, the real, juicy op-ed. They want to learn the guts of it, right? And getting them exposed to it. And I think that probably hasn't. Kelly, again, I love her to death and she's amazing, but she's only one person. She can only talk to so many people so quickly. And so I think giving her that ability to kind of leverage some of that communication in different ways will really help, right? So that she doesn't feel like she has to go to every meeting or go to every event and tell every employee. I would love it if she did, because she's great. She's very passionate, but at the same time, let me help take some of that load off of her shoulders and carry the message for her forward. And I think the council, John and the council can help with some of that too. They can really help spread the word amongst the council and down to the staff level of their committees, which will also help too. And maybe you're already doing that. I haven't looked into the employee side very much of it yet. But that, because it's only been a year, it's only been almost just a year that I've been here, and there's just so many groups that need, that have messages to share.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, and it's great to have you available. So, thanks.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, I appreciate what Dean's saying. It made me think about something that had the commission discussion about the AstroTurf. And one of the comments came up, said, well, AstroTurf may be polluting, but look at all the stuff we put on the ground now. And the response came back, said, maybe we should rethink. We need to change the way we deal with the ground. And so I see an educational component here that I think we could do a better job, not sort of just promoting what we believe in, but, as you come out with periodic communication. So this is what the city's promoting. Here's some ideas you might think about how to change your behavior and some ways to give you some info on how you might do that. And I think that educational little moments would be very prescient for doing stuff like this.
Well, and Dr. Cron, you can probably speak to a variety, you know how it is to change behaviors. So
Yeah.
you have a history of that. So we can
Yeah.
probably come up with some very nuanced ways to
Yeah.
educate in the
Well,
right
it-
way.
it-
Yeah, but it's giving
That's-
guidance as to where to go, not just
Yeah.
saying, look what we're doing and do it. Here's
Yeah.
how you might do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. And I
Yeah.
think, John,
Maybe-
you have a lot of great experience, and Christy also,
Mhm.
with knowing the different constituents and how to communicate and how they like
Yeah.
to be communicated with, and what's the best way to narrate that for the specific groups. And I think that as a collaborative group here, we can
Mhm.
really push
Yeah.
out different ways.
And
Not
I
every
think that's what's so subtle about this, and where we need the expertise is reaching different parts of the community, and parts of the staff require different approaches.
right?
And from, anyway,
Well, I look to all of you, Kermit and everyone, that all has a different understanding of how their constituents and their part of the community evolve and understand this, and then we can play to that. And I don't mean in a negative way. I mean, how do we message it the correct way
Yeah.
for the different constituents that we're trying to reach? And I think there's a lot of angles, and I think that just me spending time with you and with Kelly and the whole team here, I think we can come up with some great ways to do it.
Okay,
A lot of
Carmen.
fun ways too, actually. I think that's the part that's exciting.
Yeah.
Is we got to make it fun, and I don't mean inappropriately fun, but fun where the audience enjoys hearing the content and wants to get engaged.
they feel they're on the team.
Yes.
Mhm, mhm.
Kermit, you had your
Yep.
hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've been touching on it a little bit, but so I appreciate, Brent, maybe some explicit reflection and clarification as to internal versus external communications. In other words, does your portfolio or assignment include staff-facing messaging and communication? Or is it all supposed to be outside, or can it be both? Just wanted to hear about that.
It is definitely both, and we've just recently launched an intranet site that we're going to use internally to promote a lot of these things. But other things that we're doing, some things that I've done at the library, some internal lunch and learns, or during their staff meeting, what's called a 5-minute drop-in, where we go in and we promote a specific topic or idea or new endeavor that we're doing at the city. And also our department head meeting, we're starting to provide some of those opportunities to kind of push that information down. But what I'd like to see is us evolve into a more of a drop into all of the different department staff meetings and provide just a 3 to 5 minute update, and then kind of really excite them about what's next, so that they want to look at the intranet, they want to read some of the sustainability ideas that we have going. And it's going to take a little bit of time, because this staff is not used to that. They haven't had communication to this level before, so we're really we're trying to get them used to it and set up the right parameters and set up the right methods. And I think that the team wants it. I think the employees want it. We just have to find the right way to get it out across the 17 departments. And I think since I've been here, I've seen a real kind of lust or enjoyment for some of the employee internal communications that we put out. New hires, understanding how the intranet works, understanding what new things are going on, and not just in sustainability, but park and rec, or, even in planning, or some of our, what people would consider, I don't, but some departments think, or employees think, that public works is boring. But when you talk about some of the uniquenesses of replacing a water main when it breaks in the middle of the night, people are like, wow, I never knew it was that complicated. Nor did I know it had all these nuanced things, like you need to chlorinate, or you need to do a boil order, or whatever it is, if it's not chlorinated correctly. So those are the fun things that we're learning about our staff.
Another, just a quick follow-up, Clark, to what extent you are involved with or part of training? Like, for instance, HR, I think, has an onboarding program, and I remember chatting briefly with I forget the name of the HR person, but about can we get something in there about sustainability so we can prime people, make sure everybody coming on board at every level has some sense of the importance of having that mindset? And how would you be able to interact, or could you
Well,
get
and
into that kind of thing?
I'm not 100% involved in HR, but I do work to support Brian in his nature, because again, he's another one-person show. And so, for example, today I often do the employee orientations for him because it's a 3-hour, stage show where you have to present for 3 hours to new employees. And so I'm going to bring that up to him right away with Kelly and say, why couldn't we just put a slide in? I mean, we talk about the sustainability department, we mention it, but we don't really drill down on what they do like we do other departments. And so that would be a great opportunity. 2-minute, 3-minute slide. It's a start, at least,
Right.
putting their toes in the water of, hey, did you know we did all of these things? And I'm sure he'd be excited
Yeah.
about it, because that's what his goal is. And knowing his bandwidth, that they're already coming to the orientation, putting an extra slide in or even a short video, it isn't going to muck it up
Right.
or make it any longer than it is already.
Right. And for me, the important thing I'd like to have underscored is not so much, look at what sustainability committee and look at what, Kelly's doing, but look at what we all can do if we work together, if we all think, how do we do this sustainably? What can we do to support this overarching mission and goal that the city has? And,
Well, you bring up a good point, because a lot of people don't even realize we have a golf course, or that, we have a tourism department. And so that, what I mean? Things that you wouldn't expect if you're new to city government, especially new to Middleton city government, you wouldn't know that the library director doesn't report to the administrator, and those nuanced things that we can weave into that onboarding, that I think are important, and I think it's a good opportunity to kind of give them the groundwork of how our city council works and who they report to and how the commissions roll up to that. We can feed that in with the sustainability things. And I highly doubt that Brian, our HR director, and Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he'd have a problem with educating, getting staff on board with that.
Okay, wonderful. Let's go to Dean, and then I think we'll try and wrap up this part.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm
I was just,
I'm a talker, Christy. You should
Yeah,
have
That's all right.
limited my time.
That's all right.
Brent, I was just gonna say, it's, the theme of the slide might be it's not just what job you do, it's how you do it. Do you do it sustainably?
Right.
So,
And I think people want to hear that. I
Right.
just don't
I
think
do
we
too.
communicate it. I think people don't understand that they're part of the solution, not part of the problem. I think they want to be.
right.
They don't know how to execute that in a
Exactly.
government agency.
And then there could be a few examples of how that
Sure.
works.
I'll work
So,
with
okay.
Kelly on that, and we'll get it on. I'll talk to Brian tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's
Cool.
an easy one.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good. So in the interest, I do have a couple things I want to talk with you about, Brent, but we can talk offline in the interest of the group time. Just things like the mayor, actually, when I met with her privately, she mentioned, oh, I'd love shareable graphics. For her to push out and share, and I'm sure the council would like to do that too. So lots of things, to do. Maybe we can make a plan, with Kelly's collaboration too. Just here's a plan about what we're going to try, what we're going to do. Here's how many people we think we can reach. Here's our goal, and then maybe measure it a little bit. So
And I don't want, I want to make sure that I'm not putting more on Kelly's plate,
Right.
than she already has. So I'll try to help any way I can. But I want her input and her excitement, because she really knows the nuanced pieces of it, like you all do. So I will need to have her ear on things just to learn about the priorities and the important pieces. But yeah, we're here. I'm here to help. This is my job. This is what they hired me for, to
wonderful.
tell the story.
Okay.
And I have the bandwidth for it, and I know Kelly has the expertise of it, and all I need is that data dump to kind of get me started and help me guide me between you and your committee and all the members making sure I'm getting the right nuanced messaging. And then once I learn it, I think it'll be a lot easier because I'll know exactly what you like to promote and how you like to promote and kind of the language and the way you like to position yourself as a committee. And I'll have that, kind of under my hat then in a short period of time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. In the interest of your evening and the group's evening, I think we'll.
Sorry, everybody, for
No.
making your meeting go 45 minutes longer than normal.
No. This is
I'm
wonderful.
excited about this stuff.
It has been a priority of ours to connect with you. So thank you for making the time for us.
It was a lot of fun, and I love talking about this stuff. So please.
Okay, we'll follow up. Thank you so much.
Kelly, we'll set something up and just let me know.
Okay,
Thanks.
great. Thanks again, Brent. Okay, so let's move on to the next item, road salt, which is a referral from the Water Resources Management Commission. Kelly, do you want to give just a brief background about how, the process or how what they're really looking for from our committee? I know we can read about it, but do you have any background or summary for us?
Well, this started a long time ago. It's been in meetings and referenced within since 2013. I think some of these documents that are enclosed in your packet go back to. So the Water Resources Management Commission passed this over to Public Works to talk about what operations could do to limit chloride in the snow and ice control. And Public Works, I think, responded by sending back their current policies and how to address chloride and what they're doing right now. And I think one of the documents enclosed within shows Public Works response to some ideas that Water Resources has had. And then we were referred this from WRMC. They sent us what Public Works came up with. And I think it's sent to us for comments, to add to edit, take away. So included in the referral are mainly our Public Works recommendations, which are listed in right here in the agenda. And then the documents include background documents, which I hope some of you read, that include the snow and ice control policies and procedures that are currently on the books. And I know this committee and Water Resources knows that this committee has been engaged with salt in the past, not so much in the last year or two, but Allison Madison from Saltwise, in association with the Madison Metropolitan Sewerage District, has come and spoken to the committee on more than one occasion about fluoride. We did a Sustainable U segment a couple years ago on salt use, and Allison Madison has attempted to get the committee involved in some public education about it. Brent's been doing, I don't know if he's still on the meeting, probably not, but he's done a lot of communication this year, especially communicating to the public about salt and what the city's trying to do by calibrating their trucks and reducing salt, and just also educating the public about how if it's below a certain temperature, salt doesn't really make the snow melt. And so, if the roads are slick and it's 5 degrees, there's not a whole lot that the city can do beyond plowing. So I think if you read through the documents, it's clear that the operations department, if they were to do more with plowing more and using less salt, they would need more staff or more trucks. It's just kind of a weighing and measuring alternatives and what you can do with that. So, as staff, one of my recommendations could be mostly, I think, staff training. There's a Saltwise certification you can get. And I think right now they're already making sure staff goes through that training. I took it. It's like a 2-hour training and it's chock full of really good information for the people who are driving the trucks to know how to manage snow without using as much salt, and different methods that other communities are using in Wisconsin to manage it. So I think the training is an important piece. If there's anything that the committee wants to discuss on feedback would be helpful. And I do think communication's a big part of this. Both to the public, but also maybe efforts outside of the city, like reaching out to businesses and contractors who have their own snow businesses that maybe plow parking lots in Middleton. They use a lot of salt. And I know for my parents, the contractors that come out to their house, they just put so much salt down, you almost slip on it. It's like walking on pea gravel. So I think that there's some things we could suggest, outside the box as well as a committee.
Great.
The main
Yep.
thing to respond to are these recommendations that Public Works put together.
Perfect. We'll go to Dean first.
Yeah, the recommendations are great. I think the thing that rings old bells with me from my pre-retirement days is that what we got back was the policies that the group is following. What we don't know is how our outcomes compare to other places. Are we doing as well? Are we showing more accidents during snow and ice times, less, the same? What is the measure we're using to look at how well are we doing? I think that's important. The other thing that I think is important is that we do have to tell people, the public, that in winter in Wisconsin, it's going to take longer to get to work and longer to get home if you're doing it right. If you're getting home in the same time, you're going too fast.
Yeah.
So I think that those are my two things. What are the actual outcome measures? Not how do we do it, but how are we doing compared to our sister cities in the same environment? How do we do versus Verona, versus Madison, versus Sun Prairie? I don't know. And
Yeah.
some of them do it somewhat, some of them do have sand. And whenever there's a difference, people are convinced that maybe they're not getting the best deal. And if you say, well, the outcomes are the same, and you actually measure them, that would be useful.
Yeah. I would just like to say for the committee, especially the new people, it was a while back, I don't remember exactly when, but Brad Hopwood, part of he's Public Works, Kelly, that's the division, right? He gave a summary about what they're doing to reduce salt use, and it was very impressive. I was very impressed. So they are doing things, and he is knowledgeable about that. And so I know we had talked about trying to highlight that, just to make it known. I also think it's key, Kelly, to not just hit the city up. It's not just the city's fault. My own neighborhood, Middleton Hills, the Bruce Company, I believe is contracted to take care of the green space area, the public green space areas, and clear the snow, and they put salt down. And I haven't even approached this yet, but for example, the Bruce Company, they just put down, it's, these contractor, these guys that come out, men and women and people. And I mean, they put so much salt down in some areas, like Kelly said, it's like pea gravel path in salt, and it's ridiculous. And I just haven't, contacted them yet, but maybe broad communications about, and I don't know, I think they're all worried about liability and all these things, but the education piece and the communication piece is big, and not just, I don't think just hammering the city on it is fair either.
Yeah.
I will say that regarding I learned from this report and this packet that I didn't realize there were so many negatives with sand. I didn't know that. So that was interesting. I would have thought, oh, let's just do as much sand as possible. I knew about the temperature limits of salt, which I think a lot of people do not know. But I guess, my question might be, one question is, once the temperature gets too low, is that when we should do sand? So it's something. I like the idea about, more plowing. I think that's, whether it's crew or contracting, that sounds like a good idea, but it would have to be contractors that, again, are on the same page. But that's my feedback. Kermit.
One, just first, an overall clarification, Kelly, reviewing this, I mean, not that I have, read this with a magnifying glass, but what is the recommendation that we're supposed to be reviewing? Because what I mainly see here, there are a couple of memos, there are a couple of meeting minutes, and then there's a long string of stuff that's the city policy and guidelines. And so it's just kind of like it seems like it's a pre-existing boilerplate. And so is there something new in this that we are supposed to be particularly looking at? And if so, what is that? And then I have some additional comments given what has been provided, but that's my overarching question.
The referral came to us from a meeting on 3/20/24 from the Water Resources Commission. And it's referred to the Sustainability Committee, these recommendations, which are within the agenda, and there's several bullet points here. And that's how it was referred to us, is to these recommendations from Public Works Committee were referred to the Sustainability Committee. And then when you follow all the meetings back with all the documents, you can see how they've talked about it between WRMC and Public Works. But when it finally came to the sustainability, it was referred as we should review the snow and ice control operations recommendations right here. Hopefully it's up on your screen, the bullet points.
Okay, those. Okay, yeah, and I did find those on item 9 in the March 11th minutes, which I think that looks like that's almost a word for word copy. So that's the specific, that's the focus of the recommendations that we're being asked to
Yeah,
look
I
at.
think they're saying that we came up with these guidelines and pushed and promoted them, and so we want you to sort of either nod that you sort of agree with this, or if you have a serious issue with it, talk about the issue, but don't. It's not for us to come up with a new set of standards, but to react to what they think is the appropriate way to go.
Right.
And
Okay,
because
yeah.
the committee's been talking about this for years now, I think if you had some additional things you wanted them to consider, you could make comments to that effect. If
Yes.
you go way back to 2013, there was a referral or a question brought up to the Sustainability Committee way back at that time, over 10 years ago, asking if the committee had any interest in providing budget for a sand pickup site for residents. And that would require budget from the Sustainability Committee and, some level of oversight. I don't know what that would entail. So I think the Sustainability Committee has sort of been involved with this for many years in different ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go to,
Okay, so anyways,
Kermit.
so that gives me that clarification. And as far as those bullet items, it's like, okay, those all seem to be reasonable. Continue exploring ways to reduce salt application, educate residents, et cetera. So I, in terms of focusing to that specific, respond to the recommendation. Yeah, those recommendations look good, whether they're necessary, whether they're sufficient. It seems like there could be more we could push for. Like, for instance, I'll just offer a thought about the comments we've heard. Yeah, the city seems to be doing pretty good being deliberate about not oversalting, but we have all these independent contractors and vendors that just overdo it. Is there something, does the city have any thing that they can do by way of ordinance or regulation, all vendors working within the city limits of Middleton must be certified by SaltWise and must agree to follow those guidelines or something like that. Because I think the city's buying into it and they're working on it, but what I'm hearing and what I think I've observed is that the independent contractors aren't. And so how can we encourage those contractors to conform to these salt restrictive guidelines?
Okay.
And then the second thing I'll just mention is that table 13 under the policy document, I'm struck by the fact that it's labeled a manual of practice 1996. 1996. This is 2024. I'm pretty sure back then they had pretty minimal awareness of the hazards and risks of salt on streets, let alone salt on the environment. And if anything, I would like to think we've learned a lot more since then. And so I'm wondering if maybe there is a more current guideline that might be available, prepared by some, like the Federal Highway Works Administration or whatever the governing body is for that table 13, that we could encourage the city to adopt and incorporate into its proceedings and hopefully improve our salt performance. Those are the things that I kind of raise.
Those are good points, Kermit, especially the 1996 one. I didn't see that one. Okay, thank you. Kelly, you have those down? You have Kermit's? Okay, good. Let's go to Tony and then John.
Yeah, I had a couple of thoughts. The main one is that since we're the sustainability committee, we could probably emphasize the issue of climate change. Kermit just brought up in 1996. Well, 30 or 40 years later, the conditions are different. Now, reading through their protocols, which I did this afternoon, I was actually pretty impressed that they're making efforts to address the actual conditions and then deciding on their strategies following that. So I don't know enough about this business to recommend any other strategies, but I thought that we ought to congratulate them and really emphasize that climate change raises uncertainties and unpredictabilities, so that they really need to beef up as best they can the kind of monitoring that precedes their workday. The other and Dean mentioned, the other kind of monitoring, which is the outcome. They did quote a lot of studies actually that showed that sand, they were comparing to other communities where they found that sand was basically messy and didn't help very much. I mean, that's the impression I got. So I really didn't see any way out of the fact that salt is going to be used. This is really about safety, first of all, and secondly, about the environment. I mean, in our climate, we're going to use salt, so far we don't have a substitute. And so we need to use it as wisely and in as effectively limited way as possible. But that's going to require monitoring for those conditions. And so I'm just saying the committee can just underline that part and recommend that they do that well, because I think that is going to determine the outcome.
Okay, thank you. John?
Well, I really like Tony's use of the word wise, and I'll bring back experience of 3 years of driving school buses in the city. And last year, I think you've all read about Madison and their crisis with whatever was going on with their snow. And what I don't see here in these suggestions is an overt emphasis from the beginning of an acknowledgement that having safe roads for children, for people to work, is a critical factor. And as we look to balance snow, ice versus plowing, that decisions ought to be driven to doing whatever they can to ultimately resolve this issue, but do it in a safe and wise manner, so we don't simply do something radical and say, just stop plowing, stop throwing the ice down, because the results and kids in accidents on buses and things like that, and people driving to work, that's a very dangerous place to be on those roads, and I've been there for 3 winters. So I think that I like what they say in those lists is important, but I would advocate we put something at the beginning that said, if the critical need to have safe roads for transportation for people and for kids to get to school, we need to do this in a balanced approach that ultimately works towards these goals, but does it in a careful, crafted, wise way. And that's what I don't see when we keep talking about SALT, as if it stands separate from all these other issues. I think the safety factor is a huge effort issue and somehow needs to get in there.
Thank you. Good point. Tony, do you have another comment or?
No, I just fully agree with what John said. I think
Okay.
that's really succinct.
Okay, good. Your hand's still up. That's why I asked. Lynn.
There you go.
Lynn, you're up.
Yeah, I'll go quick because we're on this a long time. So earlier somebody mentioned, is there a way to benchmark this against other communities? Just anecdotally, I saw a huge spike in anger this past winter because of the temperatures created a situation where, and this was mainly City of Madison sentiment online, if you measure it by the amount of angry posts you see on social media, blaming the City of Madison for completely dropping the ball on that snow removal. And I think a lot of it had to do with the way the storm came in and the temperatures that made the salt ineffective, and probably also labor for plowing. As it relates to Middleton, I think I would second the bullet. If that's our goal, is what do we reinforce with this memo? I would second the bullet on education to our community. You're basically asking for patience. If you're going to live in a sustainable city, it comes at a cost, and the cost might be the roads aren't going to be clear right when you think they should be clear, because of the way salt's used, maybe because of the temperature where you really can't do anything about it. Why does brine work? Things like that. So I think the education would help the sentiment of the public that if they want to live in a sustainable city, it comes at a cost.
Yep, that's smart. I will say too, maybe that's even more important now. I know our son just turned 16 and we did this with our daughter too. We had the insurance agent come over and give an insurance talk. You know, this is what insurance is. Your parents pay for it. This is why you have it. This is what you need to look out for. And apparently we have American Family Insurance, and there's a huge uptick in angry, aggressive driving, which since the pandemic, which we've probably all seen a little bit. I know just last week, so I think this messaging, there just can't be enough of it. I saw somebody, I live on a 25-mile-an-hour street, and a couple of weeks ago, there was somebody driving down our street at about 60 miles an hour, and then blew off the stop sign right by my house. And then the following week, I saw that same car crashed into another car, which is kind of what you would expect. So I think it just fits with what's going on. So good points. Okay, so I think we've hammered this topic. So I think we can, if no one objects, we can move on to the staff report. And what questions do we have for Kelly? Very thorough staff report, Kelly. Thank you.
At the risk of redundancy, I'll just jump in and say compliments and kudos. Thank you, Kelly. It's incredible. I just marvel and appreciate all the work you're doing and all the different circles you are cross-pollinating with and communicating with. So keep it up and let us know how we can support you, and thanks.
Yeah. I have a quick question on the biodiesel. I know you said you might be able to use number 4, the carbon reduction program, money for biodiesel retrofit. I know we've talked about that a little bit in even the sustainable purchasing plan meetings. So there was that article you and I think sent back and forth about the biodiesel that was produced in DeForest, that facility went out of business or, closed. So what is the status of getting biodiesel? Because I think biodiesel is actually such a sustainable opportunity for the city, Middleton and beyond. What is the status of the availability of it? And the possibility of retrofitting and switching. Like if we had the money today, could we get it done? Could we do it?
Yeah, it is available. I'm not sure where Madison is getting theirs right now. The big challenge for Madison, and they fully admit this, is that it's the storage issue. The oil has to be kept at a certain temperature, or else you need your trucks retrofitted in a way that they heat it up before it actually starts going through the through the engine. I'm not going to try to explain it, but they had a makeshift thing set up at their fleet garage that was above ground, and it was like from a truck, and it wasn't ideal. And so they're in the process now. I think they got some grant money, but they're in the process of finding a long-term way to store the biodiesel. I know that is the same issue that Public Works and Operations, those are the same questions they had when they looked into doing a pilot with Optimus, which could help retrofit a pilot project in Middleton with 5 heavy-duty fleet vehicles. It wasn't so much that people questioned that you could retrofit these trucks and do it. It was, what would the fueling look like? And would that be a regular route that a truck came to fuel? That probably wouldn't be feasible long term. We'd probably have to have a storage tank that was filled up. But in that case, how would you put it underground, or would you have to have a heating system? It's like there's some things that need to get worked out first. I think it's really exciting. And Madison promotes the biodiesel aspect of their fleet more than anything. And it's by far the piece of their fleet management that has paid off the most on carbon reduction. So it's not gonna, I think it's gonna continue to, they're gonna figure it out, and then we can learn from that.
Okay,
Mhm.
great. Okay. Any other questions, comments for Kelly? Okay, thank you, Kelly, very thorough. We can move on to the budget. So what's great is that with the budget, the utility flyer, Kelly and I were thinking, just based on historical information, that we're going to need maybe 2,500, 2,700 for the flyer, and it was 700. So that leaves us with more funds. Now I am pleased with where we are in terms of tracking with the budget, because historically it's just always, when I've been on the committee, even when I've been chair, it's gone to the end of the year and what are we going to do with the budget? And so we're more ahead of it than we have been in the past, which is great. There is room for, projects and initiatives, and that's great. So just know that we still have budget available. We have the Good Neighbor Fest, which will come in probably 2,500. So, we have probably less than half available. Well, we will. Kelly, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just,
I'm just talking.
There was something that Brent brought up. He's helping me with the webpage right now, having more information that's pointed, like a solar landing page, probably something with Sustainable U. And one thing that our website requires, if you want your own personalized banner, which isn't, conceivably it may not be a big deal, on the top of the page, then there's a fee of $263 to have the rights or the ability to edit all of your personalized banners. Now, it's not such a big deal. Right now, it's a beautiful picture of the Conservancy, which pairs well with sustainability, but that will change. And it could be a picture of the inside of the library, or, something that doesn't reflect sustainability. So if we spent that budget and got the rights to change our banners, we could put whatever pictures, photos we wanted at the top of the sustainability pages. It's a very minor thing, but it's expensive and there's no way we can do it more cheaply. So if you want to spend any budget on that, I just wanted to bring that up as a possibility.
said-
Otherwise, you won't be able to control what your banner pictures are on the sustainability pages.
I'm sorry, you said it was $260?
$263.
One-time fee or monthly
One-
or?
A
Yeah.
one-time fee.
That's not, I mean, out of our budget,
Oh,
that's not a big deal.
And piggybacking, one-time fee, like if we wanted to change the picture once, it would cost us $263. And if we wanted to change it again a month later, it would be another $263.
I think
Or-
I think it's like, well, I don't know I can't get it. I don't know the nitty gritty on it, but the service that manages our website or provides our web service, they have something they have to do on their back end to allow us to edit that. It's very simple for them, but they charge 263 and then we'll be able to manage it ourselves. I think it's a way for them to make money, perhaps.
Yeah.
Websites.
But
I'm not
it's like they're
saying,
flipping
but-
a switch. They
Yeah, it's
flip a
like they're
switch and
flipping
then
a
you can
switch
do
and
it
then we
from
can
then
do
on, yeah.
what we want. Yeah. And
Okay,
it's for more than just the main landing page. I think that if we had a solar landing page off of the sustainability page, we'd also be able to change that banner as well. So we could have different photos that matched up with what we're promoting or what we're doing. And
Yeah.
that doesn't, I'm not talking about the photos that we embed on the web page. We can, put photos within the text area, but this is the banner that goes across the top of the web page.
Mhm.
okay, Carmen?
So what, I had something before this web topic came up, but I would say I would be in favor of adding a budget line item for website enhancements. Make that $500 for a round number or whatever it seems reasonable, but
Yeah, I mean, it kind of fits in with other admin miscellaneous. I mean, yeah, we
Right.
can add a line item though, that's fine.
just so we don't lose it as something that we're wanting to
Oh,
do.
to pay
It
for
sounds
it,
good to
sure.
me. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Okay.
And the other question though I had as far as money is like, given that we have like a couple $1,000s more than we were thinking.
Yep.
I keep on waving gee, how about another intern banner as the one way that we can try and help alleviate the workload that Kelly's dealing with. Any chance that we could get another intern between now and the end of the year?
So I think that would be up to Kelly, and if we had an intern that was low work for her or someone you wanted, because
Yeah,
sometimes interns can be, a lot of work
that's
to
true.
train and tell them.
Yeah.
But-
John, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not against, maybe paying money for the website, but how busy is this website? How often are people actually going and is it actually worth, and how critical is them somebody ultimately going to this website and said, oh my gosh, that picture doesn't quite match. Shame on you guys. And is this really an issue? If there are other things where that money could be spent wisely, if people are constantly going to the website, I might say it's a value, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's what's happening.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
just
that's a
a
good
thought.
consideration. I don't
Yeah.
think it'd be the primary thing the committee should worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, right,
And-
okay, good point.
And for that matter, that's why I would think of it as far as website enhancements being a line item, maybe that isn't the thing we need to spend the money on. But I think we need to consult with Brent perhaps, of how do we amplify the website and make it user-friendly and attractive so that people do come to it and find it interesting or useful.
Yeah, and I think that's a much better position to take rather than just
Yeah.
simply changing an image.
Okay,
Yeah,
Make it worthwhile.
yeah, okay. Okay, good. I think we can move on from this one. Kelly, your hand's still up though, just so you know. Okay, so Shreya is here. Let's move on to work initiative. Thank you for joining, Shreya.
Hi, yes.
Hi, so Shreya's, everyone, just so everyone remembers, is our Middleton High School Green Team rep. So do you want to give your updates?
Yes.
I'm sorry,
So
Christy, Christy
Yeah.
and Shrek, can I jump in?
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, you were a senior. Does that mean congratulations are in order? Have you
yeah, well,
graduated?
no, I'm an upcoming senior.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Upcoming
I'm
senior.
sorry.
Yep. So I'm applying right
Okay,
now.
didn't
But
want to jump
yes.
the gun. I'm glad you're still with us another year then. Okay.
Oh good, yeah. I unfortunately am not with you another year. I do have I don't oh Brad, if he's listening. I don't know if I am looking to go there he is. I'm looking to go pre-med, so I am focusing a lot of initiatives on that. And Brad is an active member of Green Team, and I think that he'd make a great high school representative. So once everything is in order, I believe that he will be replacing me.
Yeah, we'll
But
see. We still have to, if I
We still-
may
yeah.
jump in, Shreya. Yeah, Brad, so Brad, plans to, and I'm speaking for you, Brad, but I believe this is your plan. You are going to submit a formal application to the city, for application on our committee as a voting member, like Shreya is. Which would be great. And then it will actually be up to the mayor. It's not up to me, it's not up to this group. But that's a process. But Shreya has recommended Brad.
Yes.
And I reached out to the one of the AP Environmental Sciences teachers at Middleton High School. And funny enough, she also recommended Brad. So, we have two people now recommending the same person, so that's great. So Brad, I mentioned this to Shreya. So Brad, once you submit your application, either you or Shreya let me know. And then I will let the mayor know that you have applied and that, you have been recommended to me. So again, it's up to the mayor, not me, but I will just give her a heads up because she gets millions of emails. But Shreya, do you have any other high school updates? So
Yes.
that's Shreya's update, is that
Yes.
she would love to continue, but it's been difficult with all of her commitments.
Yes. High school updates. So we had a visit at Cromery Middle School. The Green Team did on April 23rd. I think they played Jeopardy in a lot of games there, kind of to educate the students about sustainability in general. And then May 15th, we had a park cleanup at MHS, which was very fun. We had a big turnout. That is basically a lot of the updates. We're wrapping up as the school year is almost over. And we have a new Green Team board, which Brad is also on. So I'm excited, and that is all the updates I have. And I want to say thank you to everyone. I think this is my last meeting. It's been great working with you all.
Thank you for your contributions, Shreya. Yeah, and we all wish you the best going forward. And Brad, again, none of us know, what's going to happen at this point, but do you want to give us a summary of, why you would like to be on the committee? Do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure can. Yeah, I'm Brad. I'm gonna be a junior next year. I'll be the vice president of Green Team. I was on Green Team pretty much all this year. Did a few different events within the school, within the community. I just really think, first of all, I'd be really excited whatever happens. I really look forward to anything. I really like. I think it's huge. Like working with the younger community, because even at the high school, like when I gave my speech for Green Team, the big thing I had was like in the meeting room there were 10 people and there's 2,400 people at Middleton High School, and it's the Green Team's open to everyone, and we're just maybe not seeing the community involvement that maybe we want. So I don't know if there's any way I can bring that community here, investing in the youth, the future, anything like that. Really getting people outside. I feel like that's one of the big things. When I was young, just always outside, always fishing, hiking, camping, whatever it was. And I think that's just a great way to you know, to get people thinking about this kind of stuff in a fun, like friendly, not you know, like doomsday way, I guess. But yeah, I mean, really open to anything, working on anything. So, but I just been waiting to submit the application just because I heard about this meeting and just wanted to come and just, you know, get a lay of the land. But I'll probably submit that either tonight or tomorrow. So,
Okay, great.
but yeah,
Thank you. You bring up a good point about the doomsday. I know, you know, I may be a few years younger than you or older than you, only a couple though. You know, all of us here remember the Al Gore, and I have the highest respect for Al Gore and his environmental efforts, but I feel like personally it was a lot of the doom and gloom, and I've been guilty of that myself. And you know, the books I've been reading recently about, you know, how to make real change is not do the doom and gloom, focus on the opportunities and what we could do together, as we've all talked about tonight in this meeting. So I think your point is spot on. So thank you. Okay.
yeah, thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Brad? Otherwise, or Shreya, again, thank you so much, Shreya and Brad. Again, just I'll assume by tomorrow you will have your application in, so I'll give the mayor a heads up with that. Is that fair?
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
great.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and just, so you don't need to let me know, either of you two, I'll just go ahead and do that. Good luck in your application, Brad.
Oh,
Oh,
if I
Carmen,
may, Christie,
yes.
I don't know if we as a committee have decided officially whether we're going to be walking in the parade, the Good Neighbor Fest parade.
Oh, that's a great
But
point.
if so, I guess I would like to maybe plant that seed before the school year ends for Shreya and Brad, maybe to do some advanced recruiting. So I don't know, do we know enough to make that request of them? And if so, can we make that request of them? And
Yeah, I'll just quickly, so Brad, we as a committee we walk in the we walk in the Good Neighbor Fest as a committee. We have banners and posters where a lot of like students from Middleton kind of hold up posters, and we kind of walk around and explain sustainability. And we always recruit high school volunteers. So as you're kind of wrapping up Green Team, if you have any friends that might want to walk in the parade, you might want to let them know. And then I believe once everything works out, you'll kind of send out emails and work that out with them. But that's
For sure, I could definitely talk to everyone. Yeah.
sounds
Kelly?
good.
Yeah, along those same lines, before anyone gets off the meeting, there's a paper shredding event on June 14th, and I am addressing specifically the high school students because in the past, I know I've had volunteers from the high school help with the shredding event. It's 2 hours on the afternoon of June 14th, but in the past, it's been able to be used for volunteer hours that qualify for what students need at MHS. So I don't know if that program is still going at the high school. I haven't heard from any students about it this year, but if there's any high school students who'd be willing to volunteer for a couple hours at the paper shredding event, it's very easy. You basically just stand there and point to the cars where to drive. That would be great. Just let me know.
I think the volunteer hour requirement was dropped at the high
Okay.
school.
Yeah, there's no
No,
40
there's no
hours.
requirement.
But
Okay.
yeah,
At least that's what my kids tell me, but who knows, you
no,
know?
you're right. Yep.
Okay, okay, good. Thank you so much, Shreya, for everything. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. It was great working with you all.
Yeah, okay.
Especially thank you, Miss Hilliard, Miss Palmacher.
Well,
Mhm,
feelings
mhm.
mutual. Thank you. Okay. So Good Neighbor Festival, you know, that would be great if students want to walk in it. So I think that's with Deb and Dick gone tonight. I don't know that we have much more to cover on that. Let's go through the rest of the work initiatives. Sustainable U. Kelly, you're speaking at the June 6th one? Okay.
Yes.
Those are great programs. I ended up not being able to go to the last one, but Deb really put together an excellent lineup. So, and of course we have expert Kelly there, so who wouldn't want to do that? You do have to register in advance, reminder. And the paper shredding event, I actually have papers I'm going to bring this time, so I'm excited about that. And Kelly, any update on the LED light bulb energy efficiency? Never, it's just that they're used, right? What did I
Yeah,
read?
those are, it's finished now. We've delivered
Okay.
the light bulbs.
Okay. I think we've covered all of the work
Hmm.
initiatives on the agenda for tonight. Is that right? Kermit, you have your hand?
I'm just noticing the sustainable purchasing implementation plan isn't
Oh,
there. Was that
well,
an oversight or a decision? And is there anything to update, or can
well,
we not talk
it's,
about it because it's not on the agenda?
well, Laura's not here tonight. I can tell you we don't necessarily have any new updates tonight anyway, so we're not going off the
Okay.
agenda. Or know that though it is not fallen off, it is in progress actively. So I believe we have a meeting, Kelly, what is it, next week or the week after? So it's still
Okay.
very much in progress. Even though it's not on here tonight.
Okay.
Good question. Okay. So standing agenda item, if anyone has any meeting or items for the next meeting, let Kelly know. Rick, you shared a file.
On that agenda item,
Oh,
I was going to ask Kelly to maybe report back about the low carbon concrete and how
oh, yeah.
that initiative that's being kind of encouraged from some additional volunteers outside of the committee, and also to what extent that might connect with the sustainable purchasing plan.
Yeah. Rick, technically, I see your hand is up. Technically, we had public comments at the beginning, but can it be super quick?
Yep. So I just attached a copy of the photo that we used at Middleton paper shredding event a few years ago. We were able to borrow signs from Fitchburg that just represent or recommend. It's basically anti-idling recommendations. That might be something that the city of Middleton could consider investing in. You know, just a stand and signage like that. Bill Groupie or Ben Schulte at City of Fitchburg could make the electronic document available. I think I may have sent that to Kelly a while back, but it's a graphic that's available for use that the City of Middleton could add their own signage for.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Given that unless anyone has more items, I think we might actually be able to finish early tonight. Oh, Dean, was this a hand? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Wow, do we have a second?
Third.
Third, we have a third before a second?
I think Shreya gets a second.
Right.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, and we are finishing at least 1 minute early, 2 minutes early, so
Wait,
thank
So let's, but wait, did we get the vote? All in favor was
All in
yes?
favor.
Just to be,
Aye.
it's a formality, I know. but-
Ay, ay, ay.
Okay, good night, everyone. Thank
Hey, good
you.
night.
Good night.
Good work,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.